My husband faked medical emergencies to sabotage my special occasions, so I made him experience real one. My husband Keith deliberately ruined every special occasion with fake emergencies for 7 years, and always had excuses about why these crises only happened during my important moments. My promotion dinner, he suddenly had chest pains that required an emergency room visit where doctors found nothing wrong, but we missed the entire celebration with my colleagues. My sister's wedding, he developed severe food poisoning minutes before we left, even though we'd eaten the same breakfast, and I was fine. My best friend's baby shower, he claimed his vision went blurry and needed immediate medical attention that mysteriously cleared up once the party was over. My mother's 70th birthday, he had a panic attack so severe he couldn't breathe, but refused to let me call an ambulance and insisted I stay home to watch him recover. Every single time I had something special planned, Keith would develop symptoms that required my immediate attention and forced me to cancel. When I suggested he see specialists about these recurring emergencies, Keith said I was being insensitive to his medical anxiety and accused me of caring more about parties than his health. He said a supportive wife would be grateful he trusted me enough to share his vulnerable moments instead of complaining about missed events. He actually told our friends I was neglectful because I questioned whether his emergencies were real when any caring spouse would simply believe and support their partner. He'd recover completely within hours of the missed event and act like nothing had happened while I dealt with the disappointment and apologies to whoever I'd abandoned. My boss stopped inviting me to important dinners because I canceled 3 times for Keith's emergencies. My sister barely spoke to me after I missed her wedding for his fake food poisoning. My mother cried when I didn't make her birthday because Keith needed me more. Keith would comfort me afterward saying these things happened, and real friends would understand that health came first. He'd promised to see doctors but never make appointments, saying his symptoms only appeared during stress, and he was working on managing them better. The pattern became so obvious that my friend Rachel asked if Keith was doing it on purpose, but I defended him because surely nobody would fake emergencies just to ruin celebrations. Then I found his journal where he'd written about each incident, describing how he'd researched symptoms online and practiced expressions of pain in the mirror. He'd written that keeping me from celebrations where I might outshine him or meet successful people was worth a few hours of pretending to be sick. He'd actually rated each performance and noted which symptoms were most believable and which ones needed more convincing delivery. He'd written about my promotion dinner that he couldn't let me network with senior management because I might advance beyond him. About my sister's wedding, he'd written that family events made him look unsuccessful compared to my brother-in-law, so it was better to avoid them entirely. That's when I decided Keith needed to experience real emergencies during his important moments. I started with his company golf tournament where he was trying to impress his new boss. The morning of the tournament, I called his office saying Keith had been in a minor car accident and wouldn't make it. I told his boss that Keith was fine but shaken up and needed to rest. Keith lost his chance to bond with leadership, and his boss questioned why he didn't call himself if he was able to rest at home. Keith was furious, but I said accidents happen, and work would understand. Next was Keith's college reunion where he'd been bragging to old friends about his successful life. An hour before the dinner, I called the hotel saying Keith had severe food poisoning and wouldn't attend. I described symptoms in detail just like Keith had done to me so many times. His friends sent concerned messages while Keith raged at home about missing his chance to show off. I said health came first and real friends would understand, using his exact words from all the times he'd ruined my events. The escalation came when Keith's brother was getting married, and Keith was the best man. The morning of the wedding, I hid Keith's car keys and told him I'd accidentally locked them in my car, which was getting serviced 2 hours away. Keith had to call his brother and explain he couldn't get to the wedding because of a key situation. His brother was devastated, and Keith's entire family was furious that he'd missed such an important role over something so preventable. Keith begged me to drive him, but I suddenly developed blurry vision and couldn't safely drive, just like he'd done during my friend's baby shower. The final blow was Keith's job interview for a position he'd wanted for 5 years. The company had finally called him after multiple applications, and the interview was his only chance. That morning, I unplugged his phone charger overnight so his phone died and his alarm didn't go off. When he woke up late, I told him I'd been having chest pains all night but didn't want to worry him before his big day. I insisted he stay to make sure I was okay, clutching my chest and breathing heavily just like he'd done during my promotion dinner. Keith was torn between his interview and my apparent emergency, but I reminded him that a supportive spouse would never leave their partner during a health crisis. Full story on channel, link below.